Drum roll. Welcome back to another episode of Rise Up the Show. I feel like on Fridays now I'm doing like 2 episodes back to back. So you're going to see a lot of me on Fridays. But hey, it's my one day where I can focus on the podcast and bring on amazing guests. And so I think I'm going to do two a day on Fridays, especially today because today I have 2 Jonathans. We had Jonathan Haggerty on earlier, and today we have my other friend, Jonathan. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing great, my man. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I got this new like ring light, and it's shining right. You can see like half my face is lit up.
Yeah,
So,
you can see the reflection on the
you can't,
background here. It's dark in Texas today, people. So like, I got to make this light pop. So I show up because I'm pale as hell.
Right. So I'm like half my face is lit up, the other half is dark, and it's dark outside. So I'm like, damn, this is my makeshift studio at the kitchen table. So, Jonathan, man, hey. I'm excited to get you on the show today. Thank you for coming on. You and I just met like a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago.
And, we met at Starbucks, our favorite little meeting area.
Man.
Right? Like right off the bat, we hit it off. Amazing connection. We both have a background in the big box space, and, and we played in the same sandbox for a while in that space. Yeah. So I want to jump into a couple, fast, rapid fire questions, get the audience warmed up. And then I feel like there's something else back on. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. There we go. Sorry, something else turned on. Hey, this is live, so things are going to happen. So rapid fire, about 9 questions, and we'll dive right in. First one is, where are you from?
I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah, if you've ever even heard of it, it's like the podunk country, man. Like, unless you live in Virginia, you're like, where's that?
Like really small town, or?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Like, so I actually grew up in a place called Amherst, Virginia, which is like on the outskirts of Lynchburg, which is even smaller. Like, there's probably like a few thousand people there, and then like Lynchburg's like the city where I spent most of my time growing up. And then, since then I've moved to North Carolina. I've lived there in Burlington. I've lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and now I live in Dallas, Texas. So like my life is kind of like a Grand Theft Auto video game series where you start off in like the hood where there's like no one there, and you kind of just level up, and next thing you know, like you're in this massive city like Dallas, Texas.
So I never thought of it that way.
It's been a really cool experience, man, like coming from such a small community to now, like, like Dallas, like, dude, there's every type of human being you could run into is in this city.
For sure. That was like San Francisco for me, man. Like anyone you can think of, or any culture or any like experience was in San Francisco. And I feel like Dallas, I mean, I don't know about you, but Dallas for me is the same way. Austin's even worse, because Austin reminds me, not even worse, but Austin is just like San Francisco. So I feel that same vibe. So I get you with the whole Dallas vibe.
Yeah, man. It's been a cool experience learning and growing from people, man.
For sure. What's one of your favorite quotes?
Favorite quotes is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's one of my core values, man.
That's one of my favorite quotes. I like that one. What are your 3 favorite books?
3 favorite books: Think and Grow Rich, Social Media Millions by Ryan Stewman. That was a game changer. And then, man, the third one, the Bible.
that was the other Jonathan's. His was the Bible as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's usually a common one.
They've got some good stuff in there.
They do. Important stuff in there. What's one of your biggest accomplishments to date?
Man, well, I guess I would say as of recently is really starting my company, Smart Shark. So we're actually celebrating our 1-year anniversary this month.
Hey, congratulations.
So yeah. So it's been really cool over this past year. And as we've kind of reflected on what we've done year to date, and we're mapping out goals for 2020, we went through and we looked at, every single person that we've worked with as a client, whether it was like a high-end client, middle, low-end, didn't matter. Like a client's a client to us. And we looked at like how much revenue was generated per person that we worked with, not including people who just took like free content and ran with it. And it's well over 6 figures.
Wow.
Yeah, and you don't really think about that stuff when you're doing it because you're getting
No.
this client who maybe did $1,000, and maybe this client's done like 20 grand this year, and some people don't do as well as others, and some do better. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule in
Yep.
life.
Yep.
But when you look at everything added up, like wow, like we've helped generate over 6 figures in fitness sales, and I can't imagine how many actual people are involved in that number that are now engaged in fitness now because of something as simple as a funnel or a marketing technique or maybe saying the right thing at the right time. I tend to ramble. Sometimes it's good stuff. Sometimes it's not so good. Take it or leave it. But it's been a really cool experience, man, thinking like, wow, like if we hadn't have started this, like then none of this would have happened.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I like the cool thing about that is you don't know like the level of impact because your impact is with the people that you're coaching, you're working with, but in reality, like your impact is their clients as well because
Yeah.
and you don't really realize the depth of that. And that someone told me that when I was building Rise. By the way, I love the hat. As I was building Rise, it's like yeah, you're working with a couple hundred gym owners in at the event, but man, if each one has an average of 100 clients, like that's thousands of people now that are being impacted because one person came to an event. So man, I like it goes deeper than just like the group we work with.
Yeah, man. Like everything trickles down. So I'm a firm believer of that.
Love it, love it. What are you grateful for today?
Man, I'm grateful for just where me and my wife are at in our life. So if you even look just a little bit beyond a year ago, night and day difference. Like I was managing gyms working 10, 12 hours a day, literally 6 days a week. It's where I only literally saw her on Sunday. And I was normally so burnt out, though I just slept all day. And then when I was there, I wasn't present. I wasn't engaged in the relationship. I was like a zombie. And she was actually working for a fitness company at the time where, she was doing well, but she, wasn't being fulfilled as she was originally like years ago. And we're just in this place where it's just like, look, something's got to change. Like life's too short. We
Yep.
could be dead tomorrow. Like, so that's when we kind of banded together and started making some shifts and how we operate and what we want to do in a year, 5 years, and 10 years. And literally a year later, like, man, our lives are completely different. Like she now works from home for a new company that she's a part of now. Obviously, I'm running Smart Shark, and she plays a big role in running like the backbone of what we do. So like without her, like a lot of what we are doing, like it wouldn't be there. Kind of like in our marriage, like she's the backbone and like everything we do. So I'm just super grateful, man, just to be in this opportunity at this time and place. And I'm looking forward to 2020, man, and what we're going to be able to see with the continued rise of our economy and all the new advances in technology. And I'm just excited to see what's in the future, man.
That's awesome, dude. I love it. I love it. I want to. So let's kind of dive in. I want to because I want to make sure we haven't. I feel like our conversation can go on for hours. So I want to make sure we get to the.
You got to keep me focused, man.
I do. You got to keep me focused. So you talked about that big box space, and anyone listening or watching on the replay or whatever, however you're getting this, both of us worked in that space, and I know for me, man, like when I was starting out, it was like 12-hour days and 12-hour days and like 6 days a week, and you were there at the end of the month, and man, and Sunday was your only day off, and man, frankly, dude, I lost multiple relationships at that time because of that. For you, like, what was that turning point for you where it's like, because you can get comfortable, right? You can get comfortable in the salary, and it's like, you know what, like I'm making really good money, so I can kind of vouch for the 12-hour days, 6 days a week, because I'm making an income that's predictable, right? And so for you, like, what was that tipping point that says enough is enough? I don't want to be in this anymore. I want to do my own thing.
Right. So for me, it was a series of events because I'm very hard headed, and once I commit, like I'm doing it. Right. So I think it was after running like my fourth or fifth company I was a part of, and once again I was top producer. We were kicking everyone's butt when it came to total rev in terms of our personal trainers and what we're doing in memberships, and it's like the umpteenth time I've done this. But it didn't matter how well I produced. I still had to spend the same amount of time there because you know how that environment is. They don't care about the result. They care about you fitting within the mold of what they feel comfortable with, right? And then the other part was the income gap, right? There's a glass ceiling. Like there's going to be a few, like the 1% of those clubs that are doing six figures, but the rest of them, like, you know, you're grinding through to make what a lot of people make at 9 to 5 being an accountant or being Karen in HR. And I'm over here working twice as hard for the same amount of money. That doesn't make any sense, man.
No.
So if I was like, if I'm going to work this hard and this long, I might as well build something that's on the land that I own versus being a tenant on someone else's land where they can change the landscape, they can change managers, they can move me here, they could do all these things that I can't control. Versus if I just took the time to start tilling my own land, to say, and build that foundation, well, who cares if it takes a year or 5 years or 10? I know that if I put that same intensity and focus towards something that I truly own and can control, then sky's the limit.
Yep. So knowing that though, because I mean, you were, from our conversation, you were really successful in those big boxes that you were running and managing, building teams. What are some things you would what were some of those attributes, or what would you say contributed to your success?
So for me, man, as we were sharing when we were having coffee, like none of my skill sets I have were natural. They're all very learned, and it was through consistency and making a excuse my language, shit ton of mistakes as I went through those learning curves. Because I got my degree in sports medicine, and I was like, cool, I want to be a personal trainer. I want to help people through fitness because here's my experience with it. But you don't really understand what you really need to know till you get into the trench, and none of that, only a fraction of that stuff is actually applicable, right? So once you get hired, it's like, cool, you got to generate leads, you got to sell, you got to be able to motivate clients and become more of their life coach in some aspects. You got to be able to play well with others. You have all these different skill sets that you have to learn in that environment that they don't teach you in a certification. They damn sure don't teach you in a college degree, right?
Yep.
But I burned the ships. I already committed to it. My parents were like, you should have been a physical therapist, but I already committed to the trainer thing. I can't let them be right. So I got to be damn, burn the ships, and we're storming the beach. So
there you go.
Here I am 12 years later, and really it was just not giving up and being consistent with learning those skill sets over time. And I was blessed to have some mentors along the way that were able to pick me up and give me the 30,000 foot view on what I need to learn and what am I doing wrong versus what am I doing well. And I kind of just lucked into it, man. I just kind of woke up one day. I was like, holy cow, I'm actually out producing people as a trainer. And then you get pitched to like, how would you like to run your own team? And then the whole new lesson, I have to learn how to be a leader now, which is not natural to me.
No, I think that's the natural path, right? You go from being the trainer, you're doing really well, you sell, and then we're like, oh, by the way, let's make you a fitness manager. And that was, our stories were very, very similar. And then you get into like leadership, and you're like, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
like not everybody's gonna write 10, 15,000 a month.
Right.
Those skills. And so that was like one of the biggest learning curve for me, was going from that trainer that could sell to the leader that had to motivate a team. And dude, I managed by title. Like, I'm your boss, so you have to do what I say because I wear the title. And
right.
dude, I had trainers going out the door. So for you, like, it again, a mentor took me under his wings, taught me leadership. What were some of those lessons you were taught when you were taken under the wing with your mentor? Like, what were some of your biggest lessons?
Man, one of the biggest things I learned is people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. Because you can go in there and literally have the cure to cancer, but if someone hates your guts, or they don't trust you, or you smell funny, or they're like, you sound like the man, I'm not listening to you, then none of it matters. So when you focus on building rapport by like, let me figure out what you want and what you need, and then give you that up front, it gives me permission to then what I call withdraw the positive jelly beans that I've been putting in there to help move them in a direction that's actually going to help them. And once again, key thing being actually going to help them. And that's part of like leading with integrity. Like, And once again, I made a lot of these mistakes growing up, learning like how to manage, and I wasn't of an integrity a lot of times when I was running teams in my younger years. But when you actually align like your purpose and integrity with the right skill sets of being able to add value and influence people by providing value, showing that you care first, it's literally a combination that's not fair. They're creating just killer teams because you've got the authenticity, integrity on one side, and you've got the skill set to be able to inspire that person to take action. Then you're just literally pointing the direction with here's where we're going. And then the last part of leading is you got to have one foot in the trench for your team's at, but you need another foot like here's where we need to go though.
Yep.
Right. Which change this small behavior so we can get this result on the other side of it.
What was that? So for you, like when you were in those roles, what was some of those behaviors you saw that, because your purpose, you mentioned, and I'll come back to that, but purpose wise, do you think your purpose now is the same as it was back then, or has it changed since you made the change to remove yourself from that environment and do what you're doing today?
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm literally doing the same thing. I'm just doing it with different teams. I'm doing it with business owners now. Yep. I'm not doing it with employees, but it's literally the same method, same strategies, same mindset. Like I love coaching and training other personal trainers. Like that was my favorite part about being a fitness manager, was taking someone who was like brand new, who was about to shit themselves because they're like, oh my God, like I don't know where to start. Yeah. And then going, hey, just focus on doing these things. Don't worry about the result. Worry about the action and being consistent. And I promise you the result will be there. And then watching them go through that first 30, 60 days and they get a couple sales or they get a client to lose a few pounds and all of a sudden their belief goes up. Yeah. And you just see that shift and you're like, gotcha. Now do that like a lot more.
So for someone, exactly. So for someone watching or listening, what were some of those, and they're new to the industry, or they've been in the industry for some time and just kind of lost or struggling? Like, what were those things you taught new trainers to get them to set them up for success?
So daily rhythms, man. And I'm sure you might remember that from 24 because one of the things I picked up on. So daily rhythms with the right behaviors. So right behaviors, for example, if you're building your business, then you need to be setting appointments. Like if you're not setting appointments, then you're not going to have any opportunities to talk to people, to talk about what you can do to help them. Right. And so many trainers get so focused on like, I need the client, I need the sale. Like, don't worry about that part. If you do the legwork, that part's actually really easy. Right. When you do the stuff up front. Yeah. So I used to break down the math and actually have like videos and blogs I've done this stuff. But, just to kind of sum it up, it's really 2 appointments a day keeps Jonathan away. It was kind of the joke that I would say. Because
I like that.
You have 2 appointments 5 days a week. That's 10 that you have set. 4 to 6 will show. Even if you're terrible, one of them will say yes. Right. Even if you're just god awful at that part. But if you just ask enough people, like it's like asking someone to go out with you, someone's eventually going to go, sure, why not? Right. And then as you go through that, now we're refining. Now we're sharpening the sword to say, and then that's when you see the increase of like conversions. And then the rest of it takes care of itself through that process. And then we focus on retention. And once again, I could go on a tangent on this, but really the 2 appointments a day and what activities and behaviors are you doing to do that? And there's like a dozen different ways, even more now if you're going online with how to do this. But whatever you're leaning into, whatever you're doing, like you need to be consistent in that every single day, regardless of the result you get. And if you do that long enough, the result will always be there.
Yes, sir. I love it. Consistency, right? Stay consistent, trust in the process, getting, I think that's the biggest challenge. And they're cliche. We say these things all the time, but when you really think about it, they're the things that work. Like it's appointments, it's shows, it's conversions. And I think even now though, like even now that you've left that space and now you're still working with gym owners and fit pros, the process doesn't change. It's just now, and it's coming out, we're attacking it differently. So for, what you do now, kind of, before we get there, there's that space between I left a really, a nice paying job and I went on my own. There's this gap right there. What was going on with you? Like, what was the mindset? What was like, was there oh shit moments in that gap of like, talk to us about those, right? And then what kept you on the path to say, because it's easy to go back, right? It says, hey, I tried, it didn't work. So I'm just going to go back to what I was doing because I'm comfortable there and I'm good there. but you plowed ahead. Talk to us about that gap.
Yeah, man. So there's two different approaches, right? There's I'm going to jump off the ship and build it as I fly down, or there's like, hey, I'm going to build my safety raft and start slowly edging out, right? And I've done both approaches. I recommend the second one. First one is awful because when you go out there and you're stressed about money, that's like getting really drunk and going to the bar and wondering why you're hooking up with bad people, right? Not the best approach to go out there when you're already inebriated. It's like having beer goggles in your business. If you're stressed out about money the whole time, people can sense that and they're like, get away from me. Like you reek of desperation and it just puts you in a bad mind space. So what I did was for the about 9 months before we even launched Smart Shark, we were working behind the scenes to start building this stuff. Right. So I'm working an hour in the morning. I'm working an hour in the evening after the 10 to 12 hour day for 9 months straight. And weekends, I'm putting like 5-10 hours on the weekend. And I was just every day, just doing the work. And we got to the point where it's like, hey, we're ready to launch. We're going to launch in December. And as we did that, I actually stepped down as a fitness manager at the time because I didn't have the time. So I picked up just some clients to train on the side. And I was actually went to one of the managers I knew at 24. I was like, hey, can I just train a few clients on the side? Here's what I'm doing. They're like, cool. Right. So I was able to do that on the side so that I had that extra income. And then as we're building Smart Shark, it wasn't about not making initial sales. Like our first month, we did like $8,000, like our very first month. So it wasn't about, lack of sales, but I wanted to make sure it was consistent. It wasn't like, here's a home run and then you're dry for 6 months because that money goes quick, right? So we made sure that we built up enough ramp and linked with that and being consistent with building Smart Shark, literally to the point where I can't afford to train clients anymore because I don't have the time and the money just doesn't make sense anymore. Yep. And I think what to take away from that, if you're trying to build a business, is start with a side hustle. And then if you put enough time and energy into that, eventually it becomes a full-time hustle where it just doesn't make sense not to go all in because you just don't have the time or the money. Is just like, it just doesn't make sense for me to work this because it's a fraction of what I'm making in my business. And it makes it a lot easier with that confidence and commitment to go full steam ahead, knowing that you've already done that work. And then once again, going back to the belief, you start getting results for yourself and for other people, then your belief goes up and then the action increases and you're getting better results.
So what do you, for the person that's kind of doing that, right? Because like there's the side hustle, I got my full-time job, and then there's always like that fear of I'm in both worlds and I'm playing in both spaces and I just can't seem to let go of the full-time job to go all in on what I really want to do, right? And you were able to do that. Like how did you overcome that obstacle or not obstacle, maybe that mindset, right? How did you become that belief that says I need to jump because if I don't, I'm nothing, both of them are going to start not doing well.
Right. So that's where the really how we're motivated as people, and this is true in everything, is we either run from pain or we run towards pleasure. Right. And sometimes it's a mixture of the two. Sometimes we're more motivated by the pleasure, but let's be honest, most of the time we don't take action until there's enough pain till like it forces us to move. Right. It's almost like the hermit crab. It grows to the point where the shell is like compacting on it so much that it's so uncomfortable that it just has to get out. Right. And for me personally, I can't speak for everyone. That was the point that I reached in my career. I was so uncomfortable being in that shell that I knew that there's no way I was going to spend another year looking back, being in the same cycle, doing the same thing and not feeling like I'm growing or having impact. That led to me having just extreme focus on putting the work in on even the days I didn't want to, because I knew what I wanted to build. I knew I wanted to impact and help more people. And I knew the way to do that is going online. And, what Sales Funnels has done for me in my offline career has been just life-changing going online with everything. Because once again, offline or online, a funnel is a funnel. And people need that tool to be able to use.
Yep. So now that we're moved on from the big box space, right? And now we're doing our own thing. You're online. You've got the business going. What's in that first, as you're built, because you were building it as you were working in management as well. So it was making money, and now you're all in. So right now, what is it that you do? Like, what is the business? What does it do? And is it still for gym owners and fit pros, or are you playing in other niches as well?
Yeah, so we what we do is we're a client acquisition company. So we work with fit pros and we work with gym owners,
Okay.
right, to help them with their client acquisition. So we don't focus on retention or the back end or any of the stuff that's important. We just focus on how do we fill the pipeline. That's all we focus on. And we do that in three different ways. One, we build custom sales funnels around your ideal target client and the type of offer that you have so that we can start focusing on generating interest, aka leads. And then we work on building that funnel to actually convert them into paying clients, right, for your business. The next two things is we focus on creating your attractive character, which is basically how you show up in your marketing, which obviously we focus on social media, but literally you can apply it to any aspect of your marketing and what you're doing. Another way to look at it is it's like your digital handshake.
Okay.
Of how you meet someone for the first time. And then the last piece is really like, how do we build your audience and your influence over that audience? Because that's all really it is at the end of the day, is building influence so that you can add value, like I shared earlier, about how do I help you and show you that I care first. And then you can obviously earn the right to make them an offer for your business. Here's what I do, and here's how I can help you solve this problem that I know that you struggle with, which then goes into the funnel and everything goes in a cyclical manner.
And I, to that point, and I want to make sure, like, if you're listening, there's only one thing they focus on: client acquisition. Like, right, that's it. Like, there is no back end. That's not his, that's not his lane. And he's made that declaration saying, "Hey, we're going to be known as the best in this, and then we're gonna figure this out. And if you need help with the other stuff, I'm going to refer out to people we know, trust, and like." And I think that's huge, because I feel like when a lot of gym owners get into this, they get into this and stay in this generalist state. And I don't know if you've experienced that with some of the people you work with, but they're not really niched down to a specific demographic or just, a specific market. They want to be they want to fit in all things. And in reality, like we know now, that's not the best business approach. And for you, like, do you run into that with some of the gym owners you work with?
Well, yeah, man. So here's what I share with our clients. I'll just put it out there as free nuggets for you today. So whenever you're running your business, you want to operate as a specialist, but service as a generalist. And what I mean by that is when you go out as a generalist, you're kind of speaking very vaguely to a wide population of people. And it's just very noisy out there. So it's hard to actually build that bond and that connection with that person. So another way to look at it is if you own a house, like me and my wife do, if you had a general issue with your house, you would call a general contractor. But if you had a plumbing issue, would you want a general contractor or a plumber?
Plumber.
You'd want a plumber, right? So that's how you need to operate, so that when you go out there, your audience knows exactly who you are and the thing that you specialize in, so that you can build that relationship on that initial thing that you're really, really good at. And a lot of times what happens is when you solve one problem, well, now everyone wants to bring problem 2, problem 3, problem 4 to you, where you either can build yourself to be the person that can service those as well, or you can outsource that, which for us, we outsource that stuff. Like, that's not our lane. I'm not interested in doing that part. I've always been very talented in the new client acquisition process, in terms of like just running gyms offline and all the sales I've done online. Not to say I can't do retention, but let's be honest, like, I know my lane. Like, I'm really good at that part.
Yeah.
So that's why we built Smart Shark around that principle, because what we're naturally good at, with everything that we've done so far throughout our career. And I'm referencing my wife when I say we, by the way. Yeah.
So that's funny. It's a good point you bring up, is the partnership between you and your wife, and your wife's both of you guys work in the business. What's her role in the business? And two, how have you made that work so that, with some partners,
I already know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this, bro.
I know where you're going. So
how do you guys make it work?
So how we met is we met as personal trainers, man, at this company called The Rush in Knoxville, Tennessee. Like, I was a trainer there for a couple of months. I thought I was the new big swinging dick to say, because I was over there making sales, and she got recruited, and every guy's hitting on her, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to act like I'm not interested, where I was peeping her the whole time. And when she got onboarded, I was like, oh, don't worry, I'll mentor you. And she took that as a challenge. So our first month, we went head to head in sales, and she almost beat me, bro. Almost.
Wow.
Once again, almost, right? So it was the last day. It was closeout. She was up by like $800 or something, and I'm like, man, I lost. Like, hey, this is not good. This is not good. And my very last client on a Friday at 6:00 saw the banner. I was like, buy 20, get 10 free. And she was like, what's that special? I was like, that's a great question, Bethany. Let's go over here and let me discuss what that looks like. And I looked back at my wife. I was like, gotcha. So that's how our relationship started. And then that turned into friendship. And then that turned into business colleagues. And then that came to me like making my move and closing the deal. Right. So it took me 6 months to get a date. Ended up turning that in. We've been together for over 10 years now. Wow. So yeah. So to answer your question, like her role, like, so she helps with like all the actual technology side of things, because she does learning and development now. So like, she's tech savvy. She builds all of our funnels with our clients, like knows the in and outs on that, has a firm understanding of the actual industry, because she started as a personal trainer, fitness manager, group X manager, and she's worked her way up that ladder. So you've got not just me, but two people that started in the trenches that understand what you're looking for and what your pain points are, building this stuff for you. Yeah. So she runs the tech side, and I'm more like, as she builds the tools, I'm gonna teach you how to use them.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. And then so, both of you being from the fitness space and understanding that space very well in your conversations with your clients or just gym coaches, owners in general, what are some common challenges that keep coming up that they keep hearing from gym owners?
So what do you mean? Like, what is the most common issues
Like,
that
is Yeah, like, is there a common one with all the clients you've worked with, or even some of the gym owners you get on calls with? Is there like a common challenge that all of them seem to be facing right now? Like, and more so, like, as more importantly, like as we close out this decade and move into 2020, what are some of those challenges they're facing, and what are some that you think they're going to be facing if they don't get things in line right now?
So there's two things. So one's obviously the result, which they need leads. Like, every business needs leads. It's only getting more saturated. And if you're going out as a generalist, it's very tough to stick out and have someone choose you over the other 10 Bob and Jane Doe gyms or trainers out there, right? And then the other part is everyone and their mama is starting a Facebook ad agency of some sort, which, by the way, man, I've been accused of that so many times. And I'm just like, dude, you don't even know who I am. Like, I am you. Like, I'm in the trenches. Like, I'm not the 19-year-old kid living in his mom's basement running Facebook ads for you. Right. So, and I get it, because there is a lot of that, and there's a lot of mistrust. And I know with fitness, like, dude, we're like a super tight culture, and it's almost like a cult. So if you are from the outside, we don't trust you initially. Right. Even I'm like that. Right. So I think those are the two things, is like, who do I trust that's actually going to get me a result? Because you've had all these marketers burn the shit out of people in the past. And then it's like, how do I actually get leads? Like, is this actually going to work so that I can get new opportunities in the door, so I can actually talk to people about what we can offer them? Right. So those are really the two biggest ones that I run into in what we do. The only other one I would think of that I see too is a lot of people are undercharging, because they're like, with all the competition, well, how do I separate myself? The easy thing to do is I make my price lower. But at the end of the day, that's a race to the bottom. And you and I both know, with 24-hour, with them shutting down a lot of their gyms and Gold's Gym's doing the same, they're racing to the bottom, man. There's only one place to go, to the bottom.
Exactly.
Right? Versus like, how do I separate myself with actual value so that I can charge what I actually need to charge to not only help this person get what they want, but to help the business get what it needs?
Exactly. How does someone, because you're right, the competition is there and it's getting even harder. You've got gyms, whether it's a big box, boutique, mom and pop, some of them shutting down because they're just trying to compete with the Planet Fitnesses of the world. And we know, like, you're not going to get any cheaper than $9 or $10, whatever that is, right?
Right.
And how does somebody in 2020 and moving forward, like what are some of the things a gym owner can do to create that? How can they differentiate themselves from the gym down the street? Like what are some things they could do?
So step one is you need to get crystal clear on who your perfect client is. And don't say anyone who needs to lose weight. Like I promise you, if that's your model, you're having a tough time, and if you are getting clients, they're probably not, I'll call, ideal when they get in there. So getting really clear on what that client is, what they look like, what they sound like, what books do they read, what are their goals, what are their challenges. And I'm not talking about goals like, hey, my perfect client wants to lose body fat. Well, no shit, Bob. Like everybody wants to lose body fat.
Right.
What's the why? Why do you want to lose body fat? Maybe it's because it's a stay-at-home mom and she's pumped out 3 kids and she's like, I want to feel good about myself again, and I need something to sustain me so I can continue to sustain my family. When you can market to that level of detail, it makes it not fair when you market, because you're speaking to the actual thing that they want. Because let's be honest, not most people don't want a gym membership. Most people do not want a personal trainer. They get it because they need it, right? So when we can actually offer them the real solution to what they truly want and really speak to their actual challenges, not the smokescreen objections that they tell you on the fly because they're scared or they don't trust you enough to be real with you, and then you build your marketing, your programs, your offers around that, it makes it not fair when you go out there and you market, because you're cutting through the noise and this person's reading this like, get out of my head. Exactly. How do you know this about me? Yep. Right? And it's because you did the work, right? And you know who you're here to serve, and you have an absolute purpose and intention behind that work.
And to piggyback off that, you've got, knowing your ideal client, customer, and then it's the experience you tie, I think, as we moving into 2020 is, and just in general, right? Because it's, who they are, what they say, you're in their head because you're speaking their language, but then you move into the experience. And I think that's also a big piece that's missing, is what's happening from the time they find out who you are and become aware of you, all the way up to they're now an advocate of your business, they're preaching your gospel. Right. There's a customer journey that goes along that path. And I feel many people either don't know, gym owners, trainers don't know how to set that up, or when you ask them, where is your client in their customer journey, they have no idea, because they're just not, it's not. So I think both together is what's going to set someone apart moving forward.
No, you're absolutely right. So the sale actually starts the first time they see an ad or the first time they see a post from you. It's not when they're in front of you. That's like halfway through. That's halfway through the sales process. That's like moving. Now, tipping it over is your actual sales consultation, the experience, building value, and actually getting them to commit at the end. But no, you're absolutely right, man. And then if we can start viewing things from almost like a dating perspective, like when someone first sees your post, that's like, hi, right? And most people online, they treat it like, buy my stuff. Like the first time they see their post, and they're like, whoa, I don't even know you yet. Like, I just saw your post for the first time. You're going to have some people that are so hungry and ready that they move faster along that journey, like they're sprinting along. And you're going to have some people, dude, that take a year or 2 years. Yep. Like, yeah, man. Like, I literally have a client who just signed up with this month that I talked to literally a year ago, who came back and was like, all right, man, I think I'm finally ready to do this. I was like, I've been waiting for you, man. Let's get going. So
I mean, I think, it's the follow-up too, man. Like I feel like those are the big three, like really defining who your ideal market is, getting clear on their customer journey, customer experience, and a follow-up system. Because you're right, like it's taking a lot longer for someone to make that decision, and it could be for whatever reason, but it's also due to like there's so much noise out there that it's taken them a lot longer to kind of, swim through that noise to really figure out who's the right fit for them. And so like for you, it's taken a year. We've had attendees that have known about Rise for like 4 or 5 years that finally made the decision to buy a ticket. And it's like, or you got others like yourself who after couple hour meeting, you're like, I'm in, I'm buying a ticket.
Yeah.
So
I'm a lay that I try to be what I want. I'm a lay down sale.
You are. You're the favorite kind that come into the gym and say, I want to buy trading. Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Let's
give it to
go.
me.
Yeah. And
Let's
so
go.
I think, hitting on those three, and then you mentioned Facebook ads, and do you focus on ads with the people you work with, or are you more on the organic side?
So great question. The answer is no. We actually do not focus on paid ads. That's something we outsource. So going into that, I want to share why we only focus on organic, and it's really two reasons. So reason number one is Facebook ad space only has so much room that it can sell out to advertisers for whatever industry, big business, small business, doesn't matter, right? So as that space gets smaller, it means the price goes up, supply and demand. So the other part with that, because of that, is when you go into paid ads, you're getting a lot of these big players you're having to go against that have ad budgets that are monstrous, like 10, 50, $100,000 a month. So you get little mom and pop shop over here, or trainer Bob, who's like, I'm going online, I'm going to boost my ad for like $20 or whatever. Well, you just threw $20 against the casino where the other player has all in $100,000. Which one do you think's going to fight? Probably the guy with the $100,000. Now, am I saying that you don't run ads? Absolutely not. I'm not telling you to not run ads. So don't like slam me in the comments and everyone coming at me. So with organic, you can also control that narrative, and you're not having to pay each time that you have that conversation. With paid ads, you got to put money in each time you want to have a chat with someone, right? Yeah. So if you do the work and you build the organic, one, you control the narrative, but two, you're going to be able to have those people engage a lot more because of the sensitivity to ads. After Zuckerberg got brought in front of Congress, everyone's all super sensitive, like, oh my God, it's an ad. And like they like run away from it, right? Like it's like the worst thing in the world, where that ad actually could offer them the very thing that they want.
Exactly.
So you're getting that natural hesitation, which is why you see a lot of people when they are doing paid ads, they're having to get super creative to make it not look like an ad, right? So people like, wait a minute. Oh shit, that's sponsored after like halfway through it though, right? So if you're going to go into paid ads, you better have the money and you better have the skill set, or hire someone with the skill set that knows how to play in that arena. And if you don't have all three of those, you're going to have a tough time, and nothing's worse than dropping a couple grand and getting, oh, cool, I got a few more views on this post, but nothing translated into a funnel for a conversation that I can have. So that's why we focus on all organic. Because that's how we built our business. Is how I built businesses offline, online. So we teach what we know.
Well, and I think a part of that is a lot of them just don't understand the pure numbers of what to look at as, like, what am I paying at cost per lead, and what's it, cost per click, and what's it costing me to, what's a lead cost, all those little, like, to really understand, is this $20 a day investment worth, is it, is it getting me an ROI? And frankly, no. At $20 a day, it's not going to get you an ROI. Like, it's rare that you get an ROI at $20 a day when you got people spending 100, 1,000, tens of thousands a day, a month on ads. And so now that you've kind of gone the other way, right? We're not saying ads are bad, but we're like, hey, it's going to cost you a lot more to get leads and clients from ads. So let's focus on organic. What are some organic strategies somebody watching right now can take notes? And so if you're watching, here's where you take notes. What are some things organically they can do to bring in clients and acquire leads?
Right. So the first thing I'll share before I get into like that, which I'm gonna give you step by step on, is you got to choose your platform to go all in on. And with this whole Gary V thing, with like every channel and 90 pieces of content every single. I get it. It's a challenge. It's meant to stretch you. But let's be honest. Like we're talking to people that maybe post once or twice a day, and now we're like every channel, all these pieces of content. Well, what happens is when you're everywhere, you end up nowhere until you have a system or a team in place that can help facilitate that. Because if you've done any of this, there's a lot of time that goes behind that, right? Yep. So go all in on one platform, dominate that platform, and move on to the next. Like ever since we've gone all in on Facebook, we've done with our clients, like our ROI has been just ridiculous, like night and day difference. Like we're doing 100% more than what we were doing before, or 2x to say, just by going all in on one platform and and making our presence known and being consistent with it. So with that being said, let's say you're like, hey, I'm cool to go all in on Facebook. Now, the best way to go on Facebook, do this organically, is Facebook groups. I cannot tell you how powerful going into Facebook groups the right way, once again, the right way, because a lot of people don't do this the right way. And you can find your ideal client based on the keywords that you discover through creating a client profile. And now you can find targeted pockets of people that you know that they're interested in the very thing that you do. Wow. So I can literally pick the party that I want to go to. Like, hey, I'm really good at working with dads who want to get rid of their dad bod or get the dad bod. I don't know if it's going to or away from, whatever it is, right? You can find these guys where they hang out at. And you can go, hey, let me start a conversation with you and get to know you. Once again, this is all about how you go in there, which is pivotal. You don't just go in there and like, buy my stuff and just throw it out there. No one's going to want to talk to you. But if you go in with the same methodology and you take the time to build that, man, you can build so many opportunities off those members in those groups. And there's literally thousands that you can find. So like, that's like the one simple thing that you could do like today. And if you did the work, you could start seeing results within 30 days on that.
So how does someone decide the platform? So I want to go back a little bit, because you're all in on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Someone, we have Instagram, we have like TikTok now, we have Snapchat, right? So there's a lot of platforms. Let's just YouTube. How does somebody decide, okay, what is the right platform I'm going to go all in on that works for me? And two, is there a time that says, okay, I've done what I need to do on this platform, and now I'm making some ROI, and now I'm ready to go onto a new platform? What's that look like?
So one of the easiest ways is when you do a client profile and you're getting the details. One of the questions is like, what social media platforms do you use? Who better to ask than someone who's already paid you money? Yep. So what if you interviewed like your top client? Like, Bob is awesome. If I could just grow Bob, the more Bobs, my business would be ridiculous, right? And if you find out Bob only uses Twitter, well, maybe you should look into Twitter, right? So that's the one easy way, is like, ask who's already investing money with you, because you want to find more of those people, not people who are like, oh yeah, I like your stuff, but I haven't bought anything from you. Like, until you buy something, I'm not trying to replicate you, because you haven't shown me with your decision to invest money that you're actually serious about what I offer. Because I'm trying to find more of those people, not people who aren't interested in what I do, right? Now, the other thing you got to look at too is what you offer. Like, how's the best way to communicate that, right? So what we see a lot in fitness is Facebook, and we see a lot of Instagram, right? So those work really great because of fitness is very physical, right? It's like, hey, look at this person who's lost weight, or look at this person who's ripped now, right? But if you were to sell something that was like a funnel, for example, like, there's nothing sexy about funnels. So like Instagram, like, I can't take a picture like, look at this funnel. Right? It's not sexy, right? Yeah. It's a conversation. It's something that I have to like explain and like educate and like build value around. So that's part of why we went into Facebook, because we can actually have a conversation with people and we can educate and we can teach, because most of our clients don't understand what a funnel is. No. Even if they've used one, they don't. So I have to like, hey, let me teach you what it is. And then once they understand it, it's like, that makes sense. Like, that's literally the same process I went through when one of my mentors was like, hey, here's a funnel. I was like, what the hell's a funnel? Right? So those are the two things I look at, is like, what's the best channel to help you articulate what you're doing? And then most importantly, where are your current clients hanging out at? If they're hanging out on Facebook, then you'd be on Facebook.
No, 100%. And so now we're on Facebook. We find the dad bod group, and I'm sure there's plenty out there, right? If that's your ideal client. And so now, like, how do you engage in that group? Because the end result is, let's be real, the end result is I want to get them off of Facebook onto my email list, or come into my business and the consultation, whatnot. So that's kind of down the road. But to get there, there's a process. So what's kind of like, how do you initiate the conversation inside the group?
So look at it as like a party. So like, if I had a party and I had like 30 people over here, and I was like, hey man, come on over to that crib. We're going to be having a good time. I've got my neighbors. They love to party all the time. They're popping off during Christmas. And you come over, if you were to kick the door in and go, what's up, everybody? I'm here. You're gonna like, who's the weirdo yelling at us, right? That's the equivalent of just going into into a group and slapping something on the wall.
Yeah.
Whether it's a meme or a picture, whatever. It's like no one knows you, so they don't care, right? It goes right back to the first thing we talked about. So when you go into the group, look at the conversations already being had. So if there's a thread around a subject that you can add value on or edify someone, then jump in on that thread and just have a conversation.
Yep.
Right? I'm either here to educate or I'm here to entertain. Right? That's literally like what I do and what I teach our clients. If I can educate and entertain you, like that's how I want to build a relationship with you. And when you do that consistently long enough throughout those threads, people start to go, oh yeah, that's Jonathan. Oh yeah, that's him. Oh yeah, that's her. So that when you do that, now when you go in and you post on that back wall, you're going to get people who are like more attracted to it because you've already engaged in their conversations and shown that, hey, I'm interested and I care about you, which once again, be authentic with it. Don't do it like I'm just here to get leads, right? People can sense that, like actually like connect, like I'm just having a conversation with you, right? And it's the counterintuitive. Like most people are used to getting pitched. How about I just go in here and just add value? Like, what do you want? Nothing. Here you go. And then as you do that over time, you become the authority, right? And people start to see like, oh yeah, they put good stuff in this, and then they follow you, and then they follow you, then they start seeing, hey, I've got my offer. They're like, okay, cool. Now I'm a lead, right? Exactly. And then you just rinse and repeat.
Yep. And I think, and what you'll realize is from these groups, we talk content, which we haven't really talked about right now yet. But you want to know where the best content is, go to the group, and where to find the best content is go inside the groups that your ideal clients are hanging out on. Like, what do you know? What do I want to write about or do a Facebook Live about or a podcast about? Like, a lot of trainers get stuck with, I don't know what to write about. Well, it's like, well, go visit the groups, see a lot of the questions that are being asked and create content off that. Now, do you need 65 pieces like Gary Vee says? Probably not, but at least now you're creating this, you're becoming relevant to your audience because now they're seeing you talking about those topics that are speaking to them in their language. I think here's the big, mistake a lot of gym owners make or trainers make is they try to speak in trainer lingo to an audience that doesn't understand trainer lingo. And frankly, I don't think cares about trainer lingo. So key point is, as you're looking for content, make sure whatever you're saying it as if you are the client, not Jonathan the trainer.
Right. Well said.
Thank you. I had to add that piece in because I know a lot of it, like we talked this going into Facebook group and playing that strategy, and for content and for just engagement, but you got to engage with the language that's being spoken in the group and not trainer language because you'll lose them. They're like, well, I can't connect with this person. So I'm going to go find a different trainer. And then you're like, why am I not getting business? Well, because one, you're not connecting with your ideal audience in their language.
What is it? Simon Sinek said that a doctor could have the cure to cancer, but because they don't know how to communicate, like people don't connect with them. So he's like, you need to think like a doctor, but communicate like a truck driver. No judgment towards truck drivers, by the way. Please, I actually have a couple that are friends. My stepbrother's a truck driver, so don't slam me in the comments. But it was what Simon Sinek said that made a lot of sense. Like, how do we simplify our language and what we're using with people?
100%, man. I think that's the thing is we try to make it so complicated, and I think we do it from we don't know what we don't know, and what we know is the science, the techie stuff, and we think that's what people want to hear to get them to come in as a lead or sign up. When in like what they want to hear is the complete opposite. Like the techie stuff is like it sounds great and it works, but you're not connecting with them. So yeah, man, you got to speak to them in a language that they understand because then they're like, cool, I like Jonathan. He speaks my language, and I'm starting to build that know, like, and trust. And now I'm ready to be like, cool, I want to come in and join your program or sign up as a lead.
Yeah, man. And I think if you just go out there and go love on people, like I think it's something that you learn early as a trainer, like the old school way is like, how do I get clients? Go out there and help people on the floor.
Yeah.
Go out there and show Miss Bob or Mrs. Jones or whoever something and keep having that conversation to help them out. And what happens is when you do that over time with enough people are going to want to do business with you. So like if you actually lead with like, hey, let me help you by actually helping you first. And then through that, then you earn the right to go, how would you like me to continue working with you like we've already started today? And if you did a good job, they're going to go, well, of course. What does it cost? And now you're in a conversation, right?
Exactly.
So if you just go out there and go, how do I love on people and help them first? And the cool part with social media, you can automate a lot of this stuff, so you can help a lot of people without you putting the man hours behind that. It just makes it way more effective, so you have bigger impact, you grow bigger influence, and by doing those two things, I promise you, you're going to make sales in 2020 if you do that.
So when someone is working with you, like organic or on the organic piece, what are some? We mentioned Facebook groups, but specifically with you coaching, what are some of the things you work on and focus on to help them start building that organic funnel to get that drives leads into the business?
Yeah, so we literally just do the process, but I'm working with you one-on-one and being able to help pinpoint exactly for you, like, what does that look like? What does that sound like? So
Okay.
we walk through, like, what's an attractive character? Well, cool. I'm going to help you build that based on the information I have about you. And what I'm going to recommend would resonate with the type of client you want to attract. So, like, we help them build it. Here's a framework, right?
Yeah.
Then from there, we go, like, cool, here's how you start building your audience, your business page and your personal page. Because you could have the best message in the world, but if you've got 5 Facebook friends, it doesn't matter, right? You're like talking to yourself in the corner, So we got to build your audience, right? And as we build your audience, now we have to start building that know, like, and trust with that audience, right? Which we do through a method called Core 4 that we walk through on that social posting. And we give you the structure and the format of how do you go through this and help you automate that. And as you do that, we then earn the right to start being able to make offers, right?
Okay.
So what's the entry point to your funnel? Is it free or is it paid or is it two, right? Do you have multiple offers, right? And this is where we customize things. So all you have to really focus on once you get those the attractive characters, building your audience, building that influence, and the rest literally feeds itself into the funnel, which then moves them into the first purchase offer, or a lot of times that consultation, which is the sales process, which we literally teach you that part too. So you've got everything in one spot. You just have to run the play, and we walk with you during the process.
I love it. So if someone's watching, listening, and want to know more information, I know you sent me the link to the website, and I'll make sure to link it up. But where can somebody go to find out more? If they're interested in knowing more about you and maybe working with you, where can they go?
Yeah, so our business page is called Smart Shark. Just type in Smart Shark and we pop up. I'll tell you my last name, but good luck typing it. It's JonathanLautermilch. You can always connect with me personally. I'm super responsible with my DMs, as you know. I pretty much live off that thing. So feel free to connect with me personally there. I'm going to have access to free training where I literally walk through all this stuff, and you can take that and run with it and never talk to me again. I hope that never happens. I hope we actually do connect and talk. That's why I made the training. But if you decide, like, hey, John, this is awesome, but I either don't have the time, or I'll be honest, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to train clients, right? Or I want to make more sales. We'll talk about how we can build it for you and walk with you through the process. Totally up to you. Your choice.
Love it. I'll make sure all that gets linked up. So, final question, my man, and this has been awesome. So, we're gonna end on this one. And I ask every guest this question: is what was your rise up moment, right? So, what was that moment where, and it could have been a couple moments, but was there one or two that stuck out that says, because I made this decision and I stepped outside my comfort zone and I made this rise up moment, I'm on the path that I am right now? What was that moment or moments for you?
So I've had a lot, but I'll tell you one. So I was working in a Gold's Gym. I think I talked to you about this one out in Preston, right? So it's like a high-end income area.
Yeah.
It's been around for God knows how long. Super jaded veteran staff, and their walk-in traffic was like non-existent. Like, we had more people going into that gym wanting to know where CVS was, which is around the corner, than we had for gym memberships. I was like, at least give me an affiliate link to CVS. I'll sling some prescriptions. Like, give me something. So I got so tired, man, of like taking these offers from people that would make it sound really fancy, and you're able to do this and it's going to be great. And I get in there, I'm like, God bless it. You don't have any good marketing or anyone even coming in the door. So, like, the only strategies I have is to go back to like really old, like, non-existent leads that have zero interest, that have been hit up by like the 8 or 10 managers before me, right? And it was in that moment that I got tired of having my destiny dictated by something that I can't control, whether that's another company, another person, another system. And then that's really what began my obsession with learning about generating leads for myself, right? Which, learning that aspect of things really was the best way to go with social media. And then that's where I invested in coaches. I invested in programs. I personally, for years, have tested this stuff. And I only take the winners out and go, hey, here's what's proven and actually works. And here's the framework. And to be quite frank with you, it started selfishly. I wanted my own leads. I got tired of having to have my income dependent upon someone else or something else.
Yep.
And as I was able to develop that, I was like, wow, like I bet there's a lot of other people that want to be able to learn this skill set, right? So we paired that with the funnels that I was already using in the gym with leads that the gym was pushing in. We just pushed them into my funnel. And we paired that with learning the lead generation. And man, we've been off to the races ever since. And it's been awesome. So I'm thankful for that really crappy job I took that made me so mad. I was like, I'm just going to go learn this shit myself and go do it.
I love it, man. I love it. And thankfully, let me look at where you are today with the business and what you're doing now and still impacting gym owners and coaches today. So it's awesome to, in the short time we've known each other, man, it's awesome to see your path and kind of where you are right now. And I can't wait to see where you go in the future.
Yeah, man, you as well, man. Once again, I got to represent the Rise Swag here. I'm looking forward to being there in February. If you're watching this, I hope you're going to be there. If you are, like, comment, let me know. I want to make sure that we actually get to connect. It's going to be a great event, man, and I appreciate you putting it on, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with a couple hundred other fitness pros.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Well, my man, hey, thank you for this hour together. It was very insightful. A lot of gold nuggets that I hope you guys took away, took notes on, implemented. Again, reach out to me, reach out to Jonathan if you have questions. More than happy to send you his way if you need anything with funnels or organic leads. But Jonathan, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and we will talk soon, my friend.
You too, brother. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Anytime. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.